Rated Gen Z, where real talks get real. Each episode dives deep into the minds of 18 to 24-year-olds, exploring their dreams, struggles, and perspectives that most people never hear. We're diving into the chaos that defines a generation everyone talks about, but nobody actually listens to. This isn't just a podcast. This is a generation speaking.
Welcome to Rated Gen Z, Sean.
Thank you for having me. Really, I'm excited about this. Actually, really, thank you for having me. This is awesome. This is great.
I have to give a little bit of the backstory and then I'll let you kind
Sure.
of, introduce yourself. So
Yeah, of
Sean
course.
here, we actually met in person
Uh-huh.
last week, 2 weeks ago. How
Yeah,
long ago?
2 weeks ago-ish.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yes. So with everything that I'm doing, I was like, all right, I need to have a business now. Like I
Yeah,
can't just be,
actually.
Raquel.
Legally,
Yeah,
actually.
exactly. Now that I'm doing the
Yeah.
film and everything. So I was like, all right, I have my Rock Vision LLC. Now the next step is to get a bank account. And I go to my bank, and oddly enough, Sean's sitting across from me, and I'm telling him what I'm doing has to do with Generation Z. And lo and behold, you're like, I'm a Gen Zer.
I happen to be Gen Z. What do you know? It just worked out.
So it was perfect. But
Yeah.
not only that, like you were just like such a cool guy, right? Like you made the
Yeah.
whole process like really just easy and
Yeah. I mean, even though I work for a corporation, that doesn't mean that I can't be myself. Like I'm not
exactly.
going to sound robotic and, the way they want us to sound. I mean, that's not going to work in the real world, right? I mean,
Yes.
that's just not the case. I mean,
Well, yeah, I love that.
yeah. I
You
mean,
were just being you.
if I did sound robotic and stuff, you probably wouldn't even have me on this podcast right now. So,
No, we would not
you
be
know,
talking right now.
exactly. We would not be talking right now.
So then,
Exactly.
so like, give a little bit of like your background, what you want people to know
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town, and I moved to the Central Coast, went to college out there, and I actually was gonna pursue a career in medical, be like a nurse.
I
I
did
actually
not know
wanted to
that.
go, yeah, I mean, honestly, like, when you go to college and you're getting your degree, but then you realize like you're not gonna be doing that field, or you're not even gonna be doing something related at
I was
all.
an art history major.
Right. So my degree is actually in healthcare administration. So I mean, it sort of aligns, but I mean, I'm really deep into finance and business banking, commercial banking. So it can kind of correlate if I'm working with like practice finance or if I'm working with doctors and dentists. But for the most part, it's just strictly finance. I mean, it was just kind of one of those things where I don't want to go back to school and have to waste more years of my life. I'll just be a hunter
Yeah.
and just make the money and do what I need to do to get my life going. Because a degree kind of checks a box nowadays. It's funny. I mean, when they hired me for the position, they didn't really even care about the degree. It just checked a box, and
Yeah.
they cared more about the experience. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at now. Just kind of really starting my career. Um, as a Gen Zer, of course. I mean, I'm the baby in my office. Like I'm the toddler they
I
call
was
me.
gonna
Yeah.
say, like, you probably are used to being the young one.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, being a Gen Zer, of course, and when you're working with an older generation, not older, maybe a generation above,
Mhm.
it's not that they look at you and see like youth and maybe you don't know a lot, but I mean, there are certain things that, I guess when I'm working and I'm, especially when it comes to projects, especially when it comes to bringing ideas. I mean, they're open to it, but it's like I don't have the final say. You know what I mean? I'm not really the
Mm.
one that gets to have the final say just because of my age. I wouldn't say that's the reason, like that's not preventing me from getting ideas across, but I mean, it can be a factor. I mean, it goes back to like, well, I've been doing this longer, you know,
Yeah.
just starting out, so
Yeah. Which
you know what I mean?
I will have to say, as someone that was in the finance industry,
Yeah,
it is an industry of it's very old school, and
sure
the
is.
fact
Yeah.
that these ideas have been cemented
Yeah,
in the industry for
yeah,
decades, and then a generation comes along that is very much into technology, social media. So I feel
yeah,
like you guys are the ones that are having to be honest about the
Sure.
conversation of like, hey, things are evolving.
They
We're
are.
trying to reach a different audience, and this
Yeah.
audience isn't going to resonate with maybe the old school thinking,
Sure.
but it is hard.
A lot of the wealth in this country, I mean, the age of wealth is obviously, older, right?
Yes.
So right now, I mean, it's understandable why they still stick with traditional roots because the
Yeah.
wealth is older, right? But there's going to get to a point where, and I don't want to sound like dark about this, but that older wealth generation is not going to be around forever, right?
Yeah.
So that's why, especially in banking, it's evolving to a point where, I mean, I don't know about you, but I have never gone into a bank to do my banking. Like, I have direct deposit. I mean, I pay
Yeah.
my bills on my phone. I mean, the only time I would really need to go into a bank is if I'm, funding an escrow for a few
Yeah.
100,000, or
Or
I need a
opening up
cash
a
register,
business
or
account.
opening up a business account, right? But even that, even opening up a business account, I mean, I have a lot of clients that just come in and drop off paperwork to scan in because they open their business account online. I mean,
Oh, you
uh,
can do that online?
you
Okay,
can.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting scared because I'm like, well, then that means like they might not need my job in a few years if
Right?
people are just opening their accounts online. Which, I mean, it's the
Yeah, but
case,
there's a
right? Yeah.
connection, let me tell you. I'm
Yeah.
someone that needs to have you in front of me talking,
Sure.
walking
Sure.
me through it. And I feel
Yeah.
like that is always going to be around, even with the younger generations, even with your generation. I feel like there's plenty of younger adults that are like, no, I want the connection and the interaction too.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, one, because I mean, I can open a simple account, like when I'm it's more the complex things, right? Like business
Hmm.
accounts or investment accounts. You may want to consult somebody who's been in the field, right? I mean, like if we're talking like the basic retail banking, I mean, that's that's pretty much going to be all automated by in a few years. It's funny, like, I mean, I know a lot of my clients are older, but I mean, I just can see banking become more automated, and not just banking, but I mean finance in general. I
Yeah,
mean, with AI, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I use Chat GPT and ask it questions when I'm unsure of something. It answers it for me, right?
yeah.
So, but the thing is, a lot of those tools, new technology tools, can be used in a positive way. So I know the older generation, when I say older, I mean like the senior vice presidents, the key executives that are in charge of these, financial
The Gen
institutions.
Xers like me,
Gen
by the
X,
way,
well, yeah. Yeah,
and boomers.
and boomers, yeah. They feel they don't see it as they probably are starting to when it comes to the simple stuff, but I mean as in like, coming up with business plans and doing deep research. AI has an advantage. I mean, I use it daily, but I don't use it to think for me. I use it as a tool, and that's the
Yeah,
problem, right? A lot of people use it to just do the job for them. That's not how I take it. It's a way for me to gain knowledge quicker, and it can be applied to the job in a positive way. It can
yeah,
streamline processes. So instead of having to do deep research and take hours to do that, it just cuts that part out. But
yeah.
still, you need to learn, right? You don't want it to do the job for you. And I think that's the problem with AI.
So let me ask you this because, we touched upon this when we were in person,
Yeah,
how this industry is trying to essentially recruit, your generation.
right.
Like what do they need to do in order to, because obviously like you're in it, but
Yeah.
what about finance drew you in? Because
I mean,
they're trying to figure that
yeah,
out. They're like, how do we get more people that are younger to come into this industry? Because I think also one of the misconceptions with your generation is that you all want to be entrepreneurs and influencers and you want to do
right.
everything non-traditionally. And that's not the case for everyone.
It's not. I mean,
No.
it's really not. I mean, it's and that's the problem with social media, right? I mean, social media can be a good thing,
Mhm.
but I think people have just been using it wrong. The way I use it is to help further, the career that I'm going into. Because a lot of these social media influencers are fake. I mean, they're all fake. Like, I can go rent out a Lamborghini for the day and pull out all the savings account in
Yeah.
cash and just flex it for a picture or video, when in reality I have, really no dollars to my name. A good example of that is like forex traders and like those influencers that are on Instagram, like you see them posing with like Lamborghinis and
Yeah.
nice jewelry and stuff like that. I mean, anybody can do that and take a picture. You don't know what's going on behind the picture. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've I'm good at reading Instagram and knowing what's fake and what's real. And it becomes pretty obvious, but the problem is a lot of people are so drawn to that and they want to be that so bad that they, it gets into their head.
Yeah.
Whereas, they should just focus on themselves. Don't worry about what this person's doing. Don't worry about what that person's doing. Focus on you, right? But I think that there's so much influence and so much noise. It's just that's kind of the problem with social media. It's
Yeah.
creating false narratives for us younger people when I mean it could be used in a positive way, but unfortunately it's been abused.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it can be a good tool if you use it right.
So then that traditional route and just kind of your 9 to 5 and like corporate
Yeah.
job, what is it about that that's appealing to you? What drew you into that?
Well, I mean, a lot of things. I mean, the salary, the security of the job, but also, I don't see that as my primary job. Like, I have a bunch of different side hustles, and
Okay.
I need a stream of income to fund those side hustles. So I detail cars. That's like one side hustle I do, right? I have a bunch of cleaning products and things, and that's just one of the side hustles I do. Then, I deliver pizzas sometimes with DoorDash and Uber Eats, right? I need gas to fund that side hustle. So that secure income stream for me, that 9 to 5, that's like the main source of income. So the plan for me is to get to a point where, I've saved up enough because to start from scratch with no capital, that's hard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to go into debt. So what for me at least, that 9 to 5 is guaranteed income that I can use to fund other projects, other ideas, and of course, pay off student loans and debt and things of that nature. Because just to start out from scratch and make all this money, it's realistically not possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a lot harder to do, if you don't have a network. That's another thing. The reason I'm there is because I'm utilizing it to build a network, to meet people like you and build connections and grow and put my name out there in this area for business purposes, of course. That's one of the reasons 9 to 5s attract me. It's not going to be a forever thing. Like, I'm not the type that's just going to go into work. Okay, I got my check, and then I go home. Like, that's kind of depressing. Like, I need a purpose, right? I need
Yeah.
something more than just go to work. You ever seen that like SpongeBob Squidward meme where he's like, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but like,
Well, I love
it's like an
SpongeBob,
episode.
so
He's like doing the same thing over and over time. His like smile just comes down.
oh
You know
yeah,
what
and
I'm
it
talking
just
about?
droops down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's a 9 to 5 if that's all you do. If
But I will say
but
this, like the fact that it has such a bad rap, the 9 to 5, but it's necessary. Like, you
it
know what
is
I mean?
necessary.
So that's what I mean. Like, how does your generation not look at a 9 to 5 like it's like, you know, just,
Yeah,
just like hell?
again,
That like that's what I'm trying to understand.
yeah,
Like, how do we kind of lure you guys in a way that like it doesn't sound like we're
because and
putting you
that's
into the,
and that's an abuse of social media. I mean, to the term 9 to 5. I mean, it's not like like literal, right? It's just going to a job and answering to the man. Because I think our generation doesn't like to be told what to do, right? We're rebellious, which is true,
yeah.
and I have that mentality too. Like, it's answering to the man. I don't think it's 9 to 5 that's the issue, because a
It's
nine
having
to
a boss,
yeah,
basically.
it's having somebody get like tell you what to do. I think
Yeah.
that's the problem with our generation, is we're so, you know stubborn and rebellious that we don't
Yeah.
really want to answer to the man. I think that's what a 9 to 5 means. It's really not a bad thing, because I
Mm-mm.
mean, I have medical benefits. I mean, those things are important, right? Medical benefits, dental. I mean, without that, like, let's say I go get in a car accident and I break my leg, that's going to cost me money, right?
Yeah.
So that 9 to 5, I mean, it's sort of a security blanket. That's
Yeah.
how I see it. But it's not the only thing that I do.
I think it's just once again like generational and just kind of
Yeah.
like that's what you used to do. And now there's so many more opportunities out there because of social media and
Sure.
technology that you have now options.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I feel like people were like, well, that's what you do. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, you don't need to do that anymore because we're like in a different world right
Yeah.
now. I have,
You
it's
hit it.
like,
You hit the nail on the head right there.
yeah,
I mean, they just make it look like you could do this overnight. You can make millions and do all this overnight by just doing these three simple things.
yeah,
It's not simple at all, right?
yeah,
You're not just going to wake up and do a couple things here and there and make millions. It's going to take hard work. That's the problem with our generation too. And I mean, it's true because the older generation tells me this all the time. It's like your generation, they don't want to work hard anymore. They just kind of want things handed to you,
yeah.
right? And that's the problem. I know that I have to work hard if I want to get to the status that I want to get to. Exactly.
So let me ask you this because we kind of also we talked a little bit about this where you said you just turned
26.
26, right? And so I was like, no, I have to have you on even though like my
Yeah.
cutoff
Well,
is
Gen, I
supposedly
thought I thought Gen
24.
Z was like from 1997 to
Yeah, I
2010,
mean,
right?
technically it's 28, but for whatever reason,
Oh,
I thought like my podcast
oh,
would be like
all right.
18 to 24, but it's my podcast, so I can
It's
have
right. Yeah.
whoever I want on it.
Yeah.
But we talked about how you got to see the change from
Yes.
no social media to social media.
Yeah.
So like I want to hear your perspective on that.
I
Like,
can tell you that. I mean, I remember as a little kid, like right before the iPhone came out, the first iPhone in 2007. I remember being a kid and still playing outside.
yeah.
Um, and that was still a thing. I mean, video games just started around the same time the iPhone came out. I remember when I first
That's
got my
right. I forgot
Xbox
about video
360.
games also to
Yeah,
that
I
whole.
I was I remember when the first Xbox 360 came out. I remember I got it, but it was, life was a lot simpler before there was phones. I will say it was a lot more peaceful. You know,
Mhm.
it was peace. I mean, even when it first started coming out, it's still, I mean, I didn't even have my first iPhone until like junior year of high school, I think, or maybe or sophomore year, not sure.
I think I was
But
like 40.
the first app, I mean, like when I used to want to get online, it be the desktop in your house,
Hmm.
internet,
Yep.
Microsoft Internet. This was before Google,
Yep.
and I would remember I would go on there and play like these computer games. Like I remember that being the internet.
Yeah.
And then I remember my first cell phone was a flip phone. I was in sixth grade. It was a simple flip phone, call, text. Then I had one of those like phones that you like flip up and you used
Yeah.
to type. Um, and all you could do is text and call. I mean, this was before the social media became a thing. And I think
Yeah.
it's in the last 5 years that social media has kind of, you know, put
Taken over.
these taken over, really taken over. Yeah. I
That
mean,
was like rule the world.
basically ruled the world. But yeah, I
Yeah.
remember I remember a time before that. I remember, I only knew the people in my circle and talked to the people in my circle,
Yeah.
you know, and the friends I knew were because I went to school with them every day. I remember playing outside, riding around on my bike and stuff like that. There wasn't really any way to send videos at the time per se,
Yeah.
so you know, your private life was more private, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then, I saw the transition. Remember when the iPhone came out, then pictures and videos started to be a thing. Then the first app that I really used was Snapchat. Oh, I mean, and this was before you could post stories. I remember Snapchat when it was just like send picture and it would be gone in like a few
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah. As soon
And
as you open it, I think like it
yeah,
disappeared, right?
and this was before you could post stories. I think the most, I think, life-changing social media moment was when you could post stories. And
And that
that's when
was first on Snapchat. That's a
that was the
Snapchat thing.
first on Snapchat. That was
Oh, okay.
Instagram didn't have that. Instagram, all you could do was
Yeah,
post
no.
pictures.
Yeah.
And then Instagram started adding stories. And then but now everything has stories. Like I use WhatsApp. You can
Yeah.
put stories on WhatsApp.
LinkedIn try to do stories. At one point, I remember I got to beta
Oh,
test
please
it,
no.
and
Yeah.
I was like, ew, I'm so glad they got rid of it
Yeah.
because, it just was dumb.
But
Everybody was
yeah.
reposting their Instagram or Snapchat stories over to LinkedIn. I was like, yeah,
But
this is dumb.
yeah, and I remember when stories first came out on Snapchat, and then like everybody started to use it, but then it got to a point where well, it's to a point now where, everybody posts everything they're doing, and it's like, I mean, I already know everything about you. I don't even need
Yeah,
to
I never got
talk to you.
into it. I downloaded it because my son was on it and I was
Yeah,
curious and I downloaded it and I think 2 seconds later I was like, yeah, I can't handle this. I
yeah,
don't think I ever deleted my account. Maybe I did, but I just couldn't, I don't know, I couldn't get into it because
yeah,
there's people that like literally like I have found that your generation too, or just the younger, that's how they communicate. Like my
basically.
kids, they won't text, they'll Snapchat. Like they don't
Yeah,
even use text anymore either.
it's true. You communicate through Instagram DMs, or
Yeah.
what the
And then you have
Snapchat.
Finstas, so you have fake Instagram accounts,
I
which
had
I'm
one at
like,
one point
what?
in time. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
my kids have them too.
yeah. Well, I got rid of it because I had to get into a professional career, and I didn't need Finsta
Oh,
inappropriate
okay.
stuff. And that's the thing. When I was younger, I really abused, social media, and I would post stupid stuff,
Yeah.
and people would talk about it. I got a bad reputation for it. And I've learned,
Oh,
yeah, so
really?
I'm guilty of being that social media person that
Yeah. You
posts
you fed
stuff
into all of that,
just
yeah.
for clout. But the older I get, the more I realize, it's stupid, because one, I mean, you have people, including parents, and you have professionals that will look into that stuff, and it really, they will judge you on that character that you are being. Like, if this is how you really are, that's not who you're portraying. So you're not having that integrity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
that's the hard part is
yeah,
like I think also with social media, and like this happens to me a lot, is
yeah,
that like I'll post and you kind of forget that it's out there in the ether
yeah,
and you forget like who's like seeing it. Because a lot of times I put stuff out there and then later someone will say something. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that I posted about that.
yeah,
Like, luckily I post things that like, I'm not, I mean, if I'm posting it, like I'm not embarrassed
yeah,
about it or I'm not like afraid of what's going to happen.
right.
But you do kind of forget because it just kind of goes out there.
Hmm.
And that's like the scary part a lot of times is
I
like
know.
I have no
Yeah,
idea what's out there
yeah,
anymore because I've been doing this for so many years,
sure.
and I'm sure and I've evolved. Like even as an adult, I'm evolving. So like I feel like I'm like a different person than I was just a year ago after doing therapy every week, for
Yeah,
instance. So then even that, I'm like, I'm not, who's to say what I said something a couple years ago is just not who I am anymore, but it's out there and people
yeah,
can might take that the wrong way. So there is a lot that like messes with your head.
yeah. I hear you. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and and a lot of it just gets into your head. I mean, I know now it doesn't affect me, but I know when I was younger and more vulnerable, I'd say a lot of things on social media did affect me, and it did affect my mental health. I mean,
Yeah.
social media is not a place to go look for comfort if you're vulnerable. People do.
No.
It's
Yeah.
not. I mean, it's the worst place you can go, because you're going to get these false narratives and false hope. And that's why I think, that's the problem with social media. It just gives you false hope,
Yeah.
and it's almost like your therapist when it's not.
Yeah. Or
I
if you're
mean,
just seeking like external validation, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that's easy.
And that's, for me,
Also,
I don't need validation from anyone. I mean,
I
well,
did
well,
for
the
years.
only validation I need is from my mom. My parents make them proud, but I could care less what people on social media think about me. They don't know me or anything about me. They think they do, they don't. I don't need that validation. I mean, it's a mindset for me. I mean, that's just part of maybe getting older and maturing. But I mean, I could care less what people think about me, especially on social media. I know what I have to do to succeed. I know what I have
Hmm.
to do to work hard. Um, and whether social media is it part of that or not, I don't care. But I'm really pretty set on what I need to do to get to where I need to be, because it's not going to help you succeed. The way you're going to succeed is actually getting out there, networking yourself, building those connections. You're not just going to get on your phone and build an empire like that.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, the
You
community
know
piece is really important. Like, yeah, I
exactly.
just spoke earlier today to those young women in Africa, and one
Yeah,
of the biggest things I told them, I said, I'm able to get to where I'm at today, I think, with all of this and the film and everything, is because I've built a really
yeah,
strong community of people that are supporting me and are helping me along the way. And I've
yeah,
come to realize that if I didn't have that, I don't believe I'd be sitting here doing what I'm doing. And so
Exactly.
like it's like you have to remind people of like, hey, you could do all this thing externally online, but at the end of the day, like what are you building behind the scenes, that like that
Yeah,
foundation,
the
and
behind the
community.
scenes.
Yeah, the community is part of that foundation.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right on with
And
that. I mean, and social media's ruined the dating world and relationships
don't even
for
get me
sure.
started
I
on
could go on
that.
all day about that, but I mean,
The episode that I released
ah,
last week,
man.
this
Yeah.
past week, it's my Pilates instructor. She's
Yeah.
25, and we were talking about the differences between dating now as like a Gen Xer and being
Oh,
single,
I'm
and
in the wrong
then
generation.
Gen Zer,
Like I
and
miss the
the
days where, the girl you would meet her at school or in the supermarket, and
yeah,
the dating pool was only in your circle, right? And
yeah,
it was more traditional too. But nowadays, I mean, it's hurt both women and men, right? A
yeah,
lot of men like my age think that they need to get this supermodel and across the world and
yeah.
message her there. I mean, you can't have a relationship over social media, but vice versa, right? There's women that, you know, they don't want a hardworking man. They want the guy who drives Lamborghinis and
Yeah, and
has
can
a
wine and
lot of
dine
money,
them, and
wine
all of
and
those
dine them.
things. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, and that's the problem with like online dating and,
yeah,
like apps like Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble. It's like, you know, I can't really know you just off an app. I mean, like, yeah, human intuition, like I'm attracted
yeah,
to you, but I think my future, wife or girlfriend, I'm not gonna meet her on any social media. I can't. I In my head, it's just
you
for
just
me. It's
don't
not gonna.
foresee that for
I
you.
don't
Yeah.
foresee that. Like, I want someone who I'm gonna meet in person through like traditional ways. Like,
Yeah, mutual
if I
friend, like, oh
yeah,
my God, I know you would love this, woman that I know, and I
yeah,
think you
because
guys would
my
get
thing is,
along.
it'd be nice if the future person I'm with doesn't have social media, but I can't be too picky, right? I mean, I have
I
to
know.
compromise.
Yeah. And that's
It's
where I do, I will say,
Yeah,
as someone myself who is on social media, and that
yeah,
is part of like what I do, and I do need to put myself
yeah,
out
of
there. I
course,
do at times feel like that does hinder me from having a guy like want to even get to know me, because they're already
yeah,
intimidated or kind of put off by the fact that I'm out there.
sure. And that's the problem with a lot of dating nowadays, right? I mean, I have friends, and even myself. I've dated, I've dated women before that, you know, she had the validation for me, but she would continue to post online and get all this attention to her, and it's like, why though? I mean,
Yeah.
why do you need to do that? You
Well,
know?
but that's a whole nother thing of
Yeah,
like the psyche,
sure.
because like I
That
said,
that
like I
is
was someone that for so many years needed the external validation to make me
sure.
feel better about myself. And
Hmm.
it took therapy, and it took me really kind of
Yeah,
understanding why, like really peeling the layers and getting to the core of it all. And now I acknowledge it, and knowing that, now
sure.
I'm like, I don't need that anymore. I can get it from other areas.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, in so many of these cases, they don't have the ability to even understand like where it's coming from,
I see. Yeah,
like, and I think that's another thing too, that I wish everybody kind of had access to therapy or
yeah.
counseling in a
It's
way to,
important.
yeah,
It definitely
because, yeah.
is. It is. I mean, a lot of the times, I mean, I just want to hone in and just lone wolf and just, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
hit the pavement. But I know that mental health is a thing. I've struggled with it in the past. I've learned to overcome it.
Mhm.
Um, but some, are having a hard time. I get that.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I mean, our generation, I think we have a lot of mental health issues,
Yeah.
and it's okay to talk about things. It's okay to open up. I mean, that's a flaw of mine. I don't like to open up. I like to think I'm just like this alpha male who doesn't need to open up to anybody. Like I'll figure it out, whatever. There are times where, I mean, I'm going through it. I mean, but I feel like I just need to be that strong man and, like, figure it out. Be the provider, and it's not for me to complain and show emotion. Like, I have that issue where I want to always be tough and alpha, but I know
Mhm.
that um it's okay to open up. You know.
Well, at least you
Yeah.
acknowledge that, right? You
Yeah.
acknowledge kind of the narrative around like what it means to be an alpha male and all of those things. And
Yeah.
and for you to kind of acknowledge that, yeah, it's okay for you to open up and be
Yeah,
vulnerable. And it might take some time for you. You know, you might
yeah,
not get there right away, but like I think it's important to get there at some point in time because it really is
it is.
it's
Well, I mean,
yeah, it's
especially
healthy.
for my future, queen, whoever that may be.
I love
I
queen.
mean, I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to open up to her, and I'm gonna have to,
Believe me,
show a little
us
bit of
women,
vulnerability.
we want emotional intelligence and we want someone that is
Yeah,
able to
yeah,
acknowledge and be self-aware about that. Like I feel like if you want a woman that is going to be communicative and going to be honest with you and trusting, like you're going to need to be that for her too and
yeah,
create like both have a safe space for each other
yeah.
to be able to do that.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, I come from a Latin culture where it's very macho, machista, right?
Well,
Traditional,
believe
like
me, I know too.
you know. I mean, that's and I have a lot of that mindset in me, so it's something I need to work on, right? Like I can't think that because I'm the man, like I have to play my role to the T, and you're the woman, you have to do
Yeah.
this. I need to. I know I need to compromise. I know I need to. But again, that's a social media thing, right? Because you see
Yeah.
all those alpha influencers, and they say, well, you need to do this, or else you're not a man, blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, I've kind of let that influence me, right? So,
Yeah.
and I think that there needs to be a middle ground.
Yeah. Well, I
I think,
appreciate you
yeah,
saying that
yeah,
it has influenced you because I will tell you
it
this,
has.
there's that recent Netflix it's not a movie, it's like a four-part and it's fiction, but it's a young man who's 13 and ends up murdering a
I'm
female
actually,
classmate.
yeah, I'm actually like watching the first episode right now,
Oh,
actually,
okay.
right
Well,
before
I
this.
didn't ruin it because in
No,
the
you're
first
good.
episode, you know that
Yeah,
he's guilty. But the whole point is around the toxic masculinity on social
yeah,
media and online. So I appreciate that you're like sharing that, yeah, it can actually affect you.
it
And
does.
that's
It
what's really
does.
important for people to just acknowledge that, that it is powerful. That's
It
why
is.
I try to be as kind of like forthcoming to people about like, hey, if you're going to be on social media, like I get it because I got to be on
Yeah,
there. At least try to do it in the most authentic way, in the most mindful way, knowing
exactly.
that there's someone on the other side that could really be affected by what you're telling them and what you're sharing with them and showing them.
Absolutely. Because it
Yeah,
has, right? I mean, it has like where it's like, well, am what I doing, is it not enough? Like, am I not making enough money? And am I not doing enough to be successful? Because of, that influence. And I mean, us, especially with guys, like there's always a competition thing, right? It's like when it's like when couples meet, like let's say the girls are friends and the
yeah,
guys don't know each other. The guys are never like, hey, what's up, man, like how's it going? It's usually just we look each other down, like who's more alpha, me or you. And we'll usually, the girls will be talking, we'll just kind of slowly get to know each other, but in our heads we're like, I could take you. Like that's it's a guy thing. It really is.
yeah.
Like first thing, that instinct that guys think when they meet another guy is like, can I beat him in a fight? Like that's kind of like that is like
Very just at the core,
core. That's a guy
like
thing, right?
innate.
Like
Yeah,
I can take him, like, or I'm like, how can I like outsmart him, like whatnot. But then you get to know each other, and then it's still competition, but it's not hostile anymore, right?
yeah.
Us men, we fight like with we kind of battle each other with like an instinct. It's not like
Okay.
direct. We're not like in each other's faces at that moment, but there's always a battle going on, and a social media has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, if if you're not if you're not doing this, if you're not making this much money at this age, you're worthless. If you're, you know what I mean, like it's just a lot of that influence that affects, the guys like me who are trying to be successful, who are trying to be providers. Because I mean, for me, I believe that I want to be the breadwinner in my family. I want to take care of my future queen and the children. I want to provide her with a nice house and, nice things, because that's kind of the tradition, the macho tradition, I came from. But I need to be open to someone who wants to make money too, and also is also a breadwinner and is a woman, right? Because if I sit here and say, well, no, I want my future queen to, stay home and take care of the kids and be a housewife, and I won't compromise to that. I need to compromise, and that's something that I'm working on, right? It's
Good.
a mindset that I'm working on, that I need to fix. I mean, of course, I want to be successful and I want to be a man, but I need to compromise at the same time. I know
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
I have a habit of being stubborn about it, but I know it's something that needs work. So
Yeah.
as long as I'm
Well,
acknowledging it, I
no,
guess.
that's what I was gonna
Yeah,
say. I love that you're like, see, like you're actually showing vulnerability right now by saying all of that.
yeah,
And
it's
so
because of
I
you.
love that. Oh.
Yeah, you're making me open up. I don't like it. No, no, it's fine. I'm
No,
okay
but
with
I
it.
but I love
Yeah,
that because I feel
yeah.
like even if there was like a woman that was listening to this and was like, "Oh, he's like this and that," but you're like, "No, I get it. I'm trying to change
I
and
think
evolve too."
I think like I just like to put up a hard front, but deep down I might be just soft.
Yeah. And
Because
that's
it's,
okay.
you know what I mean? And I try and put up like this front that I'm like, I don't cry, that
Yeah.
I don't feel any type of emotion. When, there's a lot going on inside. There's a civil war going on inside of me. Like,
Yeah.
battle
Yeah. No,
with
but
myself.
well,
Um,
hopefully this will after this our little talk, maybe you'll, even sit more with your feelings.
I guess. It's gonna be hard, but I'll try. No
Oh my
promises.
gosh. Well, I think that's like a perfect way to end this podcast
Yeah,
is having you, acknowledge things that you can work on. I feel like we all
yeah,
have that. And if we're self-aware enough to know that, like then we're moving towards a better place, a better everything. So I
yeah,
do
I
appreciate
agree.
that. So
No, yeah,
thank
this is awesome. Yeah.
I love
Hopefully,
it.
yeah, you can put it in your documentary too if you want.
There
That's
you
fine.
go. Well, you're gonna be on it like in
All right.
person. So
Oh, that
yeah.
works
So
too.
yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad.
All right,
I'm
Sean.
glad.
Well, thanks
If you
again.
enjoyed this
Thank you. Yeah, thank
episode
you
and
so
you're between
much.
the ages of 18 and 24 and would like to be a featured guest, go to rock.vision. Until next week.